Welcome to the Auburn Medical Group YouTube live stream, the entertaining medical live stream where viewers can ask real-time questions of real medical doctors. And here are our hosts, Dr. Mark Vaughn and Dr. Gwen Vaughn.
And here we are, Dr. Mark Vaughn and Dr. Gwen Vaughn, on time, no less.
On time.
Pretty cool.
I'm back.
High five. Okay, we are going to be talking about colon cancer screening again. I know. We talked about
screening.
I know we talk about it a lot. There's a reason we talk about it
It's
a
important.
lot. Yeah, it actually can make a difference, unlike so many things that people are trying to do to avoid different diseases and problems. Or they're just doing the wrong things to try to avoid them. But colon cancer, we have really, really good ways to screen for it and to avoid it.
Yes.
Even people who have a family history, actually maybe more effective when people have a family history because you're more likely to catch something when you do it.
Yep.
And we're not sure. We were hoping to have somebody be a guest on our show to explain it to us a little better because we're not lawyers, we're not politicians, we're not judges. So we don't know that side of this all that much. We were hoping to get the answers from the actual author of a bill that we're talking about today. We're talking about California's AB 3245.
Sure.
Should I look it up? if not, it's close to that.
Sounds about
written by our Assemblyman Joe Patterson for whatever district is 5th district, whatever district we're in.
Something like
that. California 5th district. If it's not 5th, it's close.
Our district.
Anyway, the district that we're in, and he wrote this bill out of concern for colon cancer screening continuing to be covered. That's what the topic is. We will get to that. If somebody from Assemblyman Patterson's office is watching, please identify yourself in the chat as such, and please participate because we do have that question that's still out there. And when they said they weren't able to make it today, we didn't get the answer to that, even though that was what we were trying to accomplish here. So, but their office has been talking with us. It's just short notice, so that they weren't able to participate in the program today. But they did want to, so we want to throw that out there. Lindsay's here because this is a live show, and live show, the live audience takes precedence. So, we have comments from
I haven't been here for a
Lindsay.
So I heard that while I was gone, you got a bunch of super chats.
Yes, thank you for giving the super chats when Dr. Gwen's out for 3 weeks straight. Was it they're trying to lure you back, or
just saying, we like it when that seat is empty?
Well, I will say I didn't have Dutch Brothers last week, and they may have noticed. So
they may have noticed.
That may have had something to do. But it is oh so nice to have Dr. Gwen back in the seat, in front of the microphone, in front of the camera, giving us his wisdom instead of just me talking at a screen, hoping another chat message comes.
Please. I'm waiting.
I'm about at the end of the show. No, we have Lindsay again saying, "Oh, okay, she's
all right." At
good.
least one person misses.
Yeah,
not the ones throwing in the super chat, apparently.
Okay.
Just saying.
Actually, Lindsay does the super chat.
Oh, okay. Well, what does that mean then?
She likes you,
and
she likes both of us.
Yeah,
I guess. Okay, so thank you, Lindsay. We appreciate the participation in the program. And we will be sensitive to comments or questions in the chat as we are talking about AB 3245, I believe it is. I did put a link to it in the show notes, a link to the information on the bill itself, but also a link to a story on Forbes about what this is coming from that was going on in Texas that for some reason is influencing what's going on in California. So we'll get to that in a moment. First, we're going to recognize Karen Maggart from Canada. Thank you. Well, Canada is represented. We often have an international audience.
Don't you know?
We like knowing that we have an international audience. So thank you for telling us that Karen is from Canada. That was really good.
That's my Canadian accent.
I thought you had me. I was convinced you were Canadian.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
You were born somewhere within where I remember you being born. Because I was right outside the window there. Okay. I wasn't outside the window of the delivery room. I was outside the window of the...
Yeah, what would you call that? The recovery room? Okay. Because I was looking through that window. Well, no, because I was in Sacramento. But at Auburn Faith, I was looking through the window.
Your little brother?
When Jonathan and Joshua were born.
Yep.
One of those times I had chicken pox. Couldn't go in and meet my little brother because I had chicken pox.
Sorry.
So sad. Somebody else had chicken pox.
Yeah, boy, I remember that. So we'll talk a little bit about the text of the bill. Not reading it, but telling you essentially what it establishes. Well, let's give you the background first. So,
probably need the backstory.
I think this is 2022, if I'm not mistaken. The AMA put out a statement.
Well, let's just talk about current precedent, right? So currently, you can get... Oh, hey, thank you. Warms my heart.
Good.
There we go.
Thank you, Lindsay. Wow.
Yeah, thank you.
Very generous. We appreciate that.
So currently, essentially all recommendations by the USPSTF, which is a governing body that makes recommendations for screening tests, they are covered under the ACA, the Affordable Care Act. So this is also known as Obamacare, depending on your politics. So back when in 2010-ish, whenever that was put into practice, 2010. Now it established that preventive screenings and screening tests were part of the coverage, and insurance companies had to provide coverage for them.
And
that's kind of the basis.
Let me throw in a little bit of the science behind that they found that when the patient has to have something to put up, like a copay or the deductible has to be covered before the insurance will pay for preventive screenings, whatever. Any kind of barrier there, less screening gets done.
Yep.
More people get by with cancer not being discovered. That's what the studies have shown.
Yeah.
And so that's why the Affordable Care Act had this little clause in there about having preventive screenings required to be covered by the insurance.
Yeah.
Interestingly, some people get around that with their care programs from their particular groups that don't have to cover screening tests because they're not considered insurance. And so these are these communes where people will agree to give money to, usually they think of themselves in terms of families.
Almost.
Yeah, co-op. And so they'll put out a letter saying so-and-so needs to have, cost sharing programs, needs to have their appendix out. Everybody gives some money. And I don't know if some of them actually proscribe how much money that is that their members have to put up, or if it's just a matter of how much they offer out of the goodness of their hearts. But
it's still
preventive screenings are not required
monthly
in these things.
Yes, because it is not.
And so they're going to have higher costs down the road for their population because they're not catching things that you catch when
it is
you don't have to pay for
not
screenings.
the best business model, but
yeah. So I recommend against them myself.
Yeah.
Just get a regular insurance that's run by a company that actually has rules that they follow. That's how I view it.
Yes. Yeah.
As wonderful as you think the group may be of people who are participating in it, do you know the people who are making the decisions? Do you personally know the people in the Care Share program? Oh, that's probably one of their names. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say the name of any of them.
5 or 6 of them out there. Yeah.
Do you personally know the people and how they assess whether somebody needs something done for their health or if it's elective?
Right.
Or
come out of pocket.
Or how important screenings are for the future of health of a given population. So the ACA broke the model of ditching patients when they get expensive. You know, once the cancer's found, they would raise, this is seriously, people don't remember what it was like before 2010. I lived before 2010. I remember when insurances would just drop patients like a bad habit if they had a diagnosis and the patient was stuck and they had to pay the higher premiums to whatever company would take them. This is real, and people don't even realize that's the way the world was. They just take for granted that we live in a world where the insurances have an incentive to pay for preventive services,
right? Yeah,
and keep patients well. And those sharing programs don't operate that way. Okay, I've said my piece about that.
You have stood on your.
I have my high box.
Yeah. Yeah, I came out of my residency in 2011, so I kind of got, I was already in this when I came out.
So that's the background. Now we go back to about 2022, I believe, when the AMA put out a statement saying, we really need to keep a portion of the Affordable Care Act that deals with covering preventive services, screenings for colon cancer, breast cancer, cervical cancer. Those are the main three that we really, really have good screening tools for and can make a difference and keep people from having morbidity and mortality down the road, sickness and death, if you don't know those words. These can really do that. And the price you pay up front for these screening tests is so small compared to what it's going to cost to treat the cancers that are going to be discovered.
Just have one conversation with an oncologist and you'll know that.
Oh my goodness.
The cost of those medications is crazy.
Oh my goodness. We do see into that world for you, and it's real. And we see patients getting these treatments regularly. We have oncologists, plural, oncologists that we send patients to when they get diagnosed with cancer, because we do have a population that has, a lot of cancer because they're at that age when they do, compared to an area that has a younger population. Okay, we have, I'm not sure what these letters mean. Can you explain it?
YF and YB knitting?
Why be knitting?
Why?
Why be knitting? Okay.
I don't know.
Thank you, though. So where's that bring us to with...
that brings us to Texas.
A decision in North Texas.
Yeah.
A court in North Texas decided to rule the requirement of insurances to cover preventive services. They said that that's not right.
Yeah.
That can't be done.
Do you remember what the original, what they were going against it for?
It was part of the ACA, and
specifically
it included preventive services. And this wasn't just colon. This was like
multiple screening.
And so the threat was that things that were determined by the United States Preventive Forces Task Force to be very valuable screening tools could not be required to be covered by insurances. So, of course, the insurance companies love this, as do all the politicians whose pockets they're in.
Yeah.
Because they keep getting money in their pockets from the insurance companies.
Yeah.
And
but this is not a good way to operate medicine. Having government regulate things like this is always difficult. Because people say, the free market will bear out all the people.
This is a free market.
The problem is,
if you came to me and paid me for your colonoscopy, and paid me for operating on your cancer, and paid me for your $100,000 chemo treatment, that would be free market, and that we wouldn't have.
And you wonder why
the same way.
Insurance companies are lobbying this way, anyways, because they know these statistics too. They know that. Well, here I'll tell you what, but.
There's a reason.
I'll tell you why. But they know that these screening tests are a lot less. They're a lot cheaper. So why wouldn't we pay for these a lot cheaper tests and try to avoid those really expensive treatments for cancer in the future? Most of it is because they know that they'll be having Medicare when they get those cancers, and the government will be picking up 80% of that bill. So it is one of those where if
they can get out of being required to pay for by reversing the Affordable Care Act, that would also take care of it.
Oh yeah, that too, because then they no longer have the whole prerequisite condition. What's the word I'm looking for? The prior condition. Pre-existing conditions. That was part of it, that you can't kick somebody off of your insurance for any pre-existing condition, and if that that was part of it. If the ACA goes down, that goes with it. So if you have a condition that your insurance may not like and the ACA is no longer intact, they can boot you.
That's why we defend the ACA.
That's one of many reasons why we defend the ACA. It was a good thing. All these people have arguments that costs have gone up drastically since then. Look at the graph before.
I was going to say, were they around before?
It was going up even worse. That's kind of a moot point. It is where we're living, and it's been working well, especially for the model of care that we practice, where we value screening tests. We value the preventive care to try to avoid those more costly treatments. And
it's not because it's fun. It's actually very boring.
It is boring.
It is boring to do preventive medicine. To
sit there and go through the checklist.
To have healthy patients on your panel is boring.
Yeah.
So we're not doing it for that reason.
They come in and you're like, hey.
You want to be boring.
You want to be boring. Yes.
You do not want us to find you interesting.
Yeah. You want us to be hitting all those high points during your annual and make sure we're getting all those screenings done, making sure your blood pressure is controlled, your diabetes controlled, et cetera, et cetera. So,
thank you. Yes.
We'll get off
my
high
now, why is Assemblyman Patterson writing the bill the way he is?
So that brings us to present day and this bill that is in California.
It's just for colon cancer. It's very specific.
Which is interesting.
And we know it has to do with a personal experience.
We did hear that.
In his circle.
Call up
we called his office.
And actually talked to him. We talked to one of his staffers and got the backstory a little bit.
So we know specifically the disease of colon cancer has
affected him.
Yeah, affected personally in his circle. But the other reason I think he's just going with one is because with just one, you have a better chance of accomplishing a specific goal than if you're sending the whole package at once. I think that might be part of it. I don't know. I'm just trying to get in his head, and we're not able to talk to him.
Yeah, that was one of the big questions we had. Why isn't it more? And we have some other questions as well.
And so the other question we had, we looked at what the bill says. And the way it was before is that the insurances were required to cover preventive screenings that were a grade A or B by the USPSTF for some kind of preventive or surveillance for a screening for a cancer. Yeah. So there's 3 cancers we're really talking about here. Mm-hmm. It's broader than that, but we're going to limit it to that for today's discussion. And so the change, it looks to me like the change, or maybe it was just an amendment. That's why I need somebody in the legislative world to help me with this.
Yeah.
Either the way it was before was that it was just the USPSTF, the United States Preventive Forces Task Force, the NIH, that looks at the studies, comes up with, okay, this is an A grade intervention to do a colonoscopy every 10 years on people. This is a B grade intervention to do probably the Guaiac test every year instead. And then there's some in between. And there's CT colonography. Colonography.
And then there are those that don't meet that grade that are either C or I, or not I, N.
Yeah,
or D.
We're not going to get down to those.
Anyways, those would not be part of this.
So the thing that they changed was they moved it, and this may be just an amendment on this bill, changed it to an equivalent, like the American Cancer Society also makes recommendations. They mentioned that one specifically. I think they would also say American Academy of Family Practice, because they also make recommendations like
very
this
in
about
line with
preventive
the
care.
USPSTF.
They're almost identical to each other. So I'm not sure why he left that open, unless he's concerned about the USPSTF getting politicized in the future. That's kind of a thought I had.
As a government body, I guess it's possible.
We'd have, something else to refer to if we had concerns of that happening. If somebody started, having the executive branch take over the NIH or something like that, something scary like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's going on there. So by putting it into California law that these are covered and have to be covered now, before there's a Supreme Court decision about the Texas case, I'm wondering if the reason for it is that sets a precedent for California already having a law. And so if it did go to the Supreme Court, and if the Supreme Court somehow decided to put away with preventive care coverage,
send it back to the states. States' rights.
Yeah. Is he trying,
not every state, no states.
Is he trying to get a jump on that?
Any of this,
that's why I wish we could have asked Assemblyman Patterson today.
We shall see, but
that was my question for him.
There is a lot to be seen, and the crystal ball is cloudy, so we don't know.
Yeah. So I have no problem with this law passing the way it's written. I do have a little, there's just a little bit of, I don't like it when it doesn't say what it could mean. When he says in his bill, not just the USPSTF.
Or equivalent, what else would you use?
Yeah, an equivalent body. And he mentioned specifically like the American Cancer Society. But that kind of leaves the window open. And I'm not sure I'm 100% comfortable with, well, who's sneaking into that window you just left open? And he may not even be, I would hope, because he probably spends a lot of time on this, but does he know who else might be trying to weasel their way into in the future to be a body that makes recommendations? Because anybody can make a recommendation, right? It's not necessarily qualified. Right. So how do we decide that they're qualified? And he had some criteria there, but they were not super hard and fast.
Yeah.
Recognized and there. I don't have it right in front of me. The language is something about recognizing the body as having a place in medicine to make such a recommendation.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back to your comments and questions. Okay, we're covered. Good. Moving on.
We answered all the questions.
Yes.
We were so
we do appreciate our viewers who are participating. We do appreciate the communication with Assemblyman Patterson's office as we were trying to get this set up. We just missed that part of getting the question answered this time, but maybe in the future, and we may even have him make a visit to the office. We were talking about that. That'd be fun. Okay, so Dr. Gawain back. The other little bit of news or what's going on in current events in the Auburn Medical Group YouTube channel. Enjoy this studio. Just drink it in.
I love it.
Because
I love the studio audience.
It's the peanut gallery, yes. Take it in, because this is probably the last show produced from this studio. We are getting the carpet put in today in our new studio. So we are and
fancy.
It might take a while for it to sound as good and to look as good as this room. We'll get there. So we'll depend on your feedback to tell us how it looks and sounds as we go along. So anything else you have to tell our wonderful audience here as we wrap up? Thank you, Dr. Wayne, for being back.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody. Lindsay Antwine for the super chats and for welcoming Gawain back, making him feel like he's one.
I'll come back again.
There she is. See, she's putting it right there. Until next time,
I'm Dr. Gawain.
Dr. Mark Vaughn telling you to stay in good health.
Doctors, thank you for another informative session. Auburn Medical Group is located in Auburn, California, USA. Thank you for participating. Please tell a friend and join us again next week.